Piranha 3D. When I first saw the trailer and ads for this, I thought it was just going to be another gimmicky movie, but upon hearing the surprisingly good reviews it got, I decided to check it out with a friend. I really liked it. The 3D was great. I actually liked the characters. The cheesy special effects actually did good for the movie rather than bad. And there's a good amount of gore in it. Oh, and if you're feeling horny, then this is the perfect movie to watch as there's lots of boobies and sexy women in it. I'm just gonna move on before you get any ideas. But before I do, guess who was in this movie? I'll give you a hint.
I was frozen today!
Alpha and Omega. Now, there's been some debate on this movie. Some people bash on it, others enjoyed it, considering it an underrated gem. What did I think of it? Well, first off, I went to see it because, well, it's about wolves, and as some of you know, I love wolves. I think wolves are the greatest animals of mankind. As for the movie itself, I liked it. Sure, the animation wasn't the best, but it wasn't an eyesore, mainly with the character models. But I did think the story flowed nicely, and the characters for the most part were likable. Especially Humphrey. I really liked him. It's no masterpiece, but I did enjoy this movie. I think the critics were not being fair with it, mainly because they just went on to compare it to Pixar and DreamWorks. Oh, and if you're comparing something unfavorably to DreamWorks, you know something's wrong. Grant, I do think DreamWorks is starting to get better, but still. If you want a good review of this movie, watch Huey Lewis or Fury of the Film Fans reviews of it. I do recommend checking them out as well. They're really good movie reviewers. Legend of the Guardians: The Owls of Ga'Hoole. I like this, but it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. Personally, I say the animation is the biggest fault for both Alpha and Omega and Legend of the Guardians. Alpha and Omega's wasn't the highest quality, and Legends, while its animation looks absolutely gorgeous, I couldn't help but feel they put more focus on that and not enough on the story and characters. I'm not saying it's terrible, but the story really needed more fleshing out. Still, at least the music and the action were nice. The Town. Now, I know a lot of people are saying this is one of the absolute best movies of the year and going on saying it's even one of the best movies of all time. But to tell you the truth, I really wasn't that impressed by it. I did like the moments between the main character and his girlfriend, and the action was pretty good, but the story just didn't suck me in. I thought it was too slow paced, and I felt there were some moments where the actors weren't speaking clearly, which made it hard to know what was going on at times. I may watch it again, and I might think different, but for now, I just wasn't that impressed by this movie. Jackass 3D. It's 1.5 hours of guys doing stupid shit to themselves for our entertainment. What's not to like about that? Due Date. I thought this was pretty damn funny. I did enjoy it a lot. I think the critics are being complete idiots against this movie. Basically, it stars Iron Man as a guy who is returning from a business trip to see the birth of his first child, but a moron gets him in trouble with the airport and taken off the plane before it takes off with his wallet still inside it. So he has to go on a cross-country trip with the idiot to make it in time for his child's birth. And on the way, a whole bunch of crazy shit happens. Sure, it's not original, but the good outweighs the bad. I also went to see this movie with my new friends from school, and we had a really good time. I hope to see another movie with them sometime. Megamind. It wasn't an outstanding film, but I did like it. While it did have a few problems that usually plague DreamWorks' animated movies, it knew how to control them and didn't lose track of its plot. I did really like the idea of showing what it'd be like if a supervillain, voiced by Bob Oblong, actually defeated the good guy and won. It's not really gut-bustingly hilarious like Despicable Me, but it's a good watch. Yogi Bear. Much like Vampires Suck, I went to see this with a friend, just for the sake of shitting on it. The plot was slow as fuck, the romantic subplot between Ranger Smith and some new character added nothing to the main plot. I could tell some of the actors didn't want to be in this movie. It has your usual problems that Hollywood adaptations of cartoons usually have, such as toilet humor and shitty pop culture references. And the comedy was absolutely rancid. This movie thinks that having a running gag of the main villain continuously having trouble opening and closing his limousine window equals hilarity. Guess what? It doesn't. We didn't even pay to see this movie. He had coupons. We did have fun, but at the same time, I felt kind of bad for taking him to see this. Even more so to know that I did the same thing with another friend a few months prior, as I said earlier in the video. And that's all of the movies I saw last year. This is Fighterwolfneon. Catch you later.